Friends, Purushottam has said what there is to say and said it beautifully. So I shall be very brief. I will not stand between you and the classes. During this entire period, one thing which has always bothered me is the question, why is all this happening? Why should a government, no matter how ideologically different its position may be from that of the bulk of JNU students and teachers, why should a government shut down a university which is a jewel in the country, which is the finest institution of higher learning which you have in this country? There's no doubt about it. Why should a government try to do this? The fact that JNU has maintained an incredibly high standard of thinking in this country for more than 4 decades is absolutely undeniable. I joined JNU in 1973, and I remember shortly after I joined, a friend of mine who was a professor in London University came to visit JNU, and afterwards he told me, God, I never believed such a place existed on the earth, because from the Puran Pan shop, which used to be at that Godavari bus stop, there would be people buying pan and discussing Althusser's philosophy. And we had no center for philosophy those days. So the point is that this institution, which has retained an incredibly high standard of discourse, of free discourse all these years, why should a government try and destroy that institution? I have never seen, and I literally mean an attempt to destroy, because I've never seen anything like this in the entire period I've been here. During the emergency, of course, which is the incident to which you can compare what's going on today, during the emergency, there was a straight conflict between the students and the state. You did not have mobs outside. Just now I was coming by an auto, and there are huge mobs outside who are actually trying to, holding up the tricolor and with placards and so on. Why? And obviously they are hired mobs, because they're just, all kinds of people. They are not, they are basically lumpen characters who have been hired in order to stand outside JNU and shout slogans. Why? So, during the emergency, it was the state versus the students. It was authoritarianism. You actually had a situation where the police came into the campus, grabbed Pravir Purakayastha and took him away. You had a situation where DP Tripathi was arrested. You had a situation where students were worried about what's going to happen when there'll be raids from outside and so on. But you did not have this situation of mobs coming and shouting slogans, anti-national, a whole ideological kind of campaign against this. And this is something which I have been thinking about for some time during this entire period, and I find that basically if you look at the papers today, they are thinking of a 3-day campaign all over the country on the question of nationalism versus the anti-national elements. In other words, JNU is a springboard from which a campaign is going to be launched against all who disagree with the project of this lot which is in power, the project of Hindu Rashtra, and this campaign is going to be launched in the name of nationalism. That anybody who disagrees with us is anti-national. And in fact, in Delhi itself, a situation of this kind, where not only do you have frenzied mobs around JNU, but as Purushottam said, the police commissioner simply washes his hands off the fact that lawyers enter, beat up people in front of TV cameras, and this is a situation of an insurrection. And basically the attempt is that we take over the city, we don't allow anybody to protest against it. Before I came, I was talking to Jayati on the phone, and she said that the ABVP has threatened to disrupt this particular meeting. So no meeting can be held. This is an attempt at an insurrection. This is an attempt to make sure that no protest can be done, that we take over the city. And this we take over the city in the name of nationalism and brand everybody who's opposed to us as being anti-national is a kind of insurrection whose beginning is JNU, whose beginning is Delhi, but on the other hand, it does appear, given the fact that over the next 3 days, they're going to carry this campaign all over the country, that they are going to mobilize people on this issue. And this is nothing else but an attempt to spread the insurrection from JNU and Delhi to the rest of the country. This, in other words, I see the attack on JNU as the beginning of an insurrection against the Indian Constitution. Now, in one sense, of course, I feel proud of the fact that the institution with which we are all associated is seen so much as a symbol of the Constitution, as a symbol of democracy in this country. That attack begins here. It is what has stood in their way is the unity which you find here. What has stood in their way is the fact that the students have not got intimidated, the teachers have not got intimidated, the students and teachers have stood together, and what is more, large numbers of teachers in other parts of the country have stood with JNU. In fact, tomorrow I have to go to Calcutta to speak to a QTA meeting at which teachers of Jadavpur, Calcutta, Rabindra Bharati University are all coming together to discuss the JNU issue. So you actually find that all over the country, teachers are solidarizing with JNU, that the project of destroying this constitution through the kind of insurrection that begins with an attack on JNU is going to be defeated, and the more we stand together, the more we shall defeat the project of these fascist elements. Thank you.